Ladies and gentlemen, I'm starting a live stream again. It's after midnight. The time right now in the central time zone, the time right now is 12:30 a.m. And this is February the 1st, all right? So we are no longer in January. The new year came and then January is gone. 31 days in January behind us. Here we are in the month of February. And each day there's a lot to talk about. That's how I feel. You look at the news, there's not one topic, but multiple topics every day that we could discuss on this channel. We could talk about the economy. We could talk about right now the Federal Reserve, which I did already, but there's a lot more to discuss. We could talk about international trade and negotiation. We could talk about the military. We could talk about US-Canada relationship. We could talk about Venezuela. We could talk about Cuba. There are actually questions about whether the United States will take any kind of action, military action perhaps, regarding Cuba. Maybe someday we'll talk about it. Maybe someday very soon. And so every day that I'm doing a live stream, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about today? Because there are multiple topics, because of all the breaking news over the course of a day, multiple topics that we can discuss. But I chose, for the purpose of this live stream, I thought we should talk about immigration enforcement. Now, my friends, you tell me if I made the right decision. You tell me right in the live chat. I see Lawrence is here, Frank is here, and I know others are going to be tuning in. Make sure you participate in the live chat. Salerno is just here. Salerno just says, hi everyone. Hi Salerno, good to see you. So, my friends, let's talk about ICE. Let's talk about immigration enforcement. My friends, there are forces that are actively trying to hinder the enforcement of our nation's immigration laws. And it is extremely unfortunate, and it is extremely alarming. Not just unfortunate, but also alarming. Why are there forces that are actively trying to stop ICE, that are actively trying to prevent the federal agents from enforcing our nation's immigration laws? There are forces out there in society that are trying to create obstacles for the brave men and women who are working hard to enforce our nation's immigration laws. There are men and women who are working very hard. They're putting their own lives at risk, men and women of law enforcement at the federal level, men and women who are working very hard to catch criminal aliens and to make America safe again. And then there are forces that are trying to create barriers for these brave men and women. My friends, I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for the ICE agents. Am I the only one? I'm not the only one. There are millions and millions of people. There are millions and millions of people out there, tens of millions of people, who have a great deal of respect and appreciation for the ICE agents, for the Border Patrol agents, and other federal agents. I'm not the only one. Now, it's a small channel that I have. Okay? Not 100,000 people, not 500,000 people, not a million subscribers here. It's a small channel with, you know, right around 16,500 subscribers at the time of recording of, at the time of this live stream. Just around 16,500. Small channel. When you're thinking about a country this big. But you know what? There are people here. There are people who tune in for my live streams. There are people who watch my videos. There are people who join the conversation every day, who also think like I think when thinking about ICE agents and Border Patrol agents. There are people who are watching this live stream right now who feel the same way, who are going to say, Tausif, you're not the only one. We also respect ICE. We also respect Border Patrol agents. We also respect the federal agents who are working hard to make America safe again. My friends, the ICE agents, the Border Patrol agents, the other federal agents, what are they doing? They are working 24/7. It's nonstop. They are working 24/7 to track and to catch criminal aliens. They are working 24/7 to make our country safe again. And that is exactly what we voted for, right? By the way, if you support ICE, you got to do one thing. You have to write it down in the live chat. Write, I support ICE. Go ahead, my friends. Do that. Do that. Someone's saying, no offense, but can you interact with the chat, please? I am interacting with the chat. I am interacting with the people who are writing the comments in the live chat. You can see Lawrence is writing, I support ICE. Frank is writing, Trump, MAGA, ICE. Yes, I am looking at your comments. I'm reading your comments. I'm responding to what people are writing. That's what I do. Lawrence is saying, so glad for ICE. My friends, freedom-loving Americans, they'll tell you, if you ask them, they're going to say, look at Salerno. Salerno is saying, just look at what Salerno is writing. It's not my word. You got to read the words from Salerno. Because I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm saying I support ICE. But you read what Salerno is writing. Salerno is saying, we need law and order. I support ICE. Exactly the message that I have. So yeah, how am I not reading the comments? I am. You can see it. So this is what we voted for. That's what we want to see the Trump administration do. We want to see the Trump administration empowering the federal agents so that the federal agents can combat crimes and arrest criminal aliens. And now you can see what the agitators are doing. On one hand, you got the ICE agents, the Border Patrol agents, the federal agents, federal law enforcement doing great work. But on the other hand, you see the agitators out on the streets, the agitators screaming and chanting, the agitators creating chaos on the streets of the United States, agitators who are trying to prevent ICE from doing their jobs, agitators on the streets creating unrest in America. My friends, Do you think that just because the agitators are out there, lawless people out there, screaming and chanting and shouting, do you think it's going to stop the enforcement of our nation's immigration laws? Absolutely not. Law enforcement, number one, we are a country of law and order. So the enforcement of the laws will continue no matter how loudly, no matter how loudly the agitators scream and shout and chant and hold signs and do all the stuff that they do, which, if you sum it up all, it's basically the same as creating chaos. My friends, earlier today, I saw this unbelievable news. I was very shocked. I was very shocked. Okay? But maybe not so shocked because the news was coming out of Chicago. The news was coming out of Chicago. Do you know what I'm talking about? Got any idea? Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Oh my God. Am I going to talk about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson again? Some of you may be asking me that. Some of you may be saying, Tausif, it's past midnight. We came here to listen to your live stream. We think you have something important to say. But Tausif, what in the world are you doing? Are you going to be talking about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson again? No, Tausif, don't do that. We don't like that guy. He's one of the worst mayors, probably the worst mayor in the country right now. And that's the person you're going to talk about? You're going to talk about a failed mayor? One of the worst mayors? The Chicago mayor? You're going to talk about him? We're not going to listen to you, Tausif. We're going to just turn off this live stream and just go and sleep. My friends, I don't want to talk about this guy, this failed mayor. I have zero interest to talk about Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson. But you know what? Circumstances compel me to talk about this guy. Circumstances, that's right. I mean, I see a shocking news, something outrageous. What am I supposed to do? Am I not going to share that with you? Am I not going to give you my analysis about what's happening in Chicago? Do you just want me to stay silent and just completely overlook the entire matter? I cannot do that. What needs to be addressed, what needs to be discussed, I will have to talk about it. My friends, the shocking news that I heard, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, you know what he did? You know what he did? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You know what he did? This guy, Brandon Johnson, the worst mayor, he signed an executive order to create a pathway for the city of Chicago to investigate and seek prosecution of federal immigration agents who allegedly break the law in Chicago. Allegedly, all right? I mean, we're talking like hypotheticals here. Hypotheticals, all right? So Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, he's like, in his mind, he's coming up with this hypothetical scenario. What if a federal agent breaks the law in Chicago? Oh, we're gonna have this pathway for the city to investigate and seek prosecution. Unbelievable. It's like Does he not have anything better to do? I mean, are all the problems in Chicago solved? Like all the streets are clean, all the rats have been, you know, driven away, everything's clean, everything's neat, there are no problems, homelessness has been addressed, housing issues have been addressed, people are happy with property taxes. Oh, the schools are doing great, so on and so forth. I mean, really, Chicago has a lot of problems. So Brandon Johnson, why is Brandon Johnson busy with this so-called executive order instead of trying to fix the real problems in the city of Chicago? My friends, Brandon Johnson, okay, so this guy, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, he wrote on X that nobody is above the law. Yeah, we know that. We know that. It's common knowledge. Nobody is above the law. We know that. Brandon Johnson wrote that with this executive order, they are putting ICE on notice in Chicago. Really? You're putting ICE on notice. All right. Great. What next? Brandon Johnson wrote that Chicago is the first city to create infrastructure for holding ICE and CBP agents accountable for crimes. What in the world? What is Brandon Johnson trying to do? Can anyone figure this thing out? I mean, is it a publicity stunt? Is it like a political stunt? That's what it looks like. Do you agree with me? Is this a publicity stunt? First of all, let's understand the facts very clearly. Yes, nobody is above the law. I agree 100%. Anyone who commits a crime will have to face justice. Anyone who commits a crime is a crime. No matter who commits the crime, anyone who's committing a crime will face the consequences of the action. So if a police officer commits a crime, the police officer will have to face justice. If a politician or some other public official commits a crime, same thing, that person will have to face justice. So in short, crime is illegal, that's right. I never thought I'll have to mention that because I think we all understand it. Crime is illegal. So whoever commits a crime, there will be legal consequences, okay? That's why we have a justice system. And if a judge commits a crime, it's still a crime. If a lawyer commits a crime, it's a crime, and there are consequences for that. If a doctor commits a crime, it's a crime. Anyone, an artist, a singer, anyone who commits a crime will have to face the consequences of the action. Because a crime is a crime and it's illegal. So we know that no one is above the law. The law is the same for everyone. So what exactly is Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago trying to do with this so-called executive order? Why does he have to restate the obvious fact, the fact that has been stated clearly in society, that no one is above the law? Why does he have to restate the fact that no one is above the law? I mean, don't we all know this? I mean, keep in mind, this mayor, my God, this guy is such a failure. Who do you think is the worst mayor in this country? Is it Brandon Johnson? Who do you think is the worst? Go ahead, tell me. Anyone here? Oh, I see our friend Kay Cooper is here. Hello, Kay. Good to see you. Our friend Kay Cooper is here. Good to see you, Kay, from the great state of Texas. I always have to mention that, the great state of Texas. So, my friends, keep in mind that the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, is a failure. This man, Mayor Brandon Johnson, is such a poor leader. He doesn't have any leadership skills, all right? I mean, calling him a leader is like, Tassif, what are you doing? Did you just use the word leader when talking about Brandon Johnson? Is he a leader? Doesn't look like it. Look at all his actions. Look at the decisions that he made during his term as mayor so far. Doesn't seem like he's a leader. He's more of a political stuntman. All right? That's what he focuses on. Left-wing, so-called progressive. All right? Now, this is not progressive in terms of like, oh, great progress. Oh, great, you're making progress. That's progressive. No, this is like that political term, progressive. They call themselves progressive. I call it left-wing, radical left-wing. Brandon Johnson. Focused on left-wing political agenda rather than solving the real problems that exist in the city of Chicago. So my friends, this guy, Brandon Johnson, his administration has not been able to do anything to combat crimes in the city of Chicago. It was only after President Trump sent National Guard troops to Chicago that crime actually went down. That's right. President Trump, from the federal level, he had to take action to send National Guard, to send necessary resources to Chicago to combat crimes and make the city safer. It was President Trump. What did Brandon Johnson do? He did nothing. He did nothing. My friends, remember, who remembers this? Operation Midway Blitz. That's right. Operation Midway Blitz. Do you remember that? Do you remember Operation Midway Blitz? Go ahead. Tell me. Oh, people are commenting about my hair. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Operation Midway Blitz. We talked about it on this channel. That's right. Thanks to Operation Midway Blitz. It's because of Operation Midway Blitz there was a significant reduction in shootings. There was also a big reduction in robberies in Chicago. So who took action to make Chicago safer? Who took action? It was not Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. It was our president, our 45th and our 47th president, just like what my hat says over here. 45 and then 47, because he's the 45th president and the 47th president. Donald Trump, he is the one He is the one who took action. Donald Trump took action to make Chicago a safer place. President Trump's bold leadership all right, my friends, make sure that you're subscribing. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe, all right? Go ahead and subscribe to stay connected. Lawrence is saying Trump is the real president. Lawrence, that is a fact. Yes, Trump is the real president. Thank you for writing that, Lawrence. And those who agree with Lawrence, you can repeat that. You can say, yes, Trump is the real president. So it was Trump who took action to make Chicago safer. Mayor Brandon Johnson did nothing to improve the lives of the people in Chicago, to improve the quality of life for the people in the city of Chicago, in the Windy City. What did Mayor Brandon Johnson do? In fact, you know what Mayor Brandon Johnson did? Along with his left-wing allies, not him by himself. He's got left-wing allies. He's got left-wing buddies. You look at the city council in Chicago, a lot of left-wing people. You know what they did? They supported spending massive sums of taxpayer dollars to provide services to the illegal immigrants. Remember that? Remember? It was not that long ago. I talked about that on my channel many times. I talked about that on my channel many times. Those who remember my live streams from 2024, do you remember my live streams? I know it feels like forever ago, because here we are in 2026. First day of February in 2026. And I'm talking about 2024. That was when Joe Biden was in office. Mayor Brandon Johnson, what did Mayor Brandon Johnson do? Busy spending, busy allocating taxpayer money for the migrants, for the illegal aliens, to give them free services, to give them shelter, food, legal services. What else? So if Mayor Johnson, Brandon Johnson, could do nothing to reduce crime in Chicago, isn't it absurd how he is now trying to go after ICE agents? The same ICE agents who actually help uphold the law and who help keep communities safe? Why is Brandon Johnson going after ICE agents when this same mayor, the same person, failed to improve the lives of the people of Chicago? The same mayor who supported spending massive sums of taxpayer dollars on illegal aliens. Nothing makes sense. You look at Chicago politics, nothing makes sense. I talk to people who live in Chicago. A lot of people, they feel stuck. A lot of people in Chicago, they feel like, oh, we're stuck over here. Oh, we don't want to live in Chicago anymore, but we're stuck. We've been here a long time. It's just hard to, pack your bags and leave. It's not easy, once you are settled in a place and you grow roots in the community, even if you end up, down the road you end up absolutely disliking the local politics, and you think that taxes are high, and you think that the public safety situation isn't that great. Well, Trump did help make Chicago, he did help make Chicago safer. But overall, Chicago has had challenges, public safety challenges for a long time. So even if somebody thinks that, oh, you know, this place is no longer a great place, it's not easy to just pack up, sell your house, and leave. No. People feel stuck. A lot of people in the Chicago area, they're stuck. They can't move. They would like to move if they could. They would like to move to Florida. They would like to move to, Texas. They would like to move to some red state, Indiana. They would like to move to, you know, Iowa. They would like to move to, some of them, even Wisconsin. A lot of people from Illinois do move to Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin is a purple state. It's not exactly, when you look at the government structure, you got a Democrat governor, you got Republican controlled legislature, but you got a Democrat governor. And now the Supreme Court also flipped. So the Supreme Court in Wisconsin is liberal heavy. It's liberal dominated Supreme Court. So it's not exactly, the state is not exactly fully in control of Republicans as it used to be. It's kind of split government now. You got Democrat governor, you got Republican controlled legislature, and the and the Supreme Court is liberal majorities. But still, people in Chicago would say, oh, you know what? Wisconsin is a lot better than Chicago. So that's why people move here. And, people in Wisconsin in general are just nice people. Okay. The quality of life is a lot better. And, just people find peace and comfort in Wisconsin. They do. That's why many people leave Illinois. They move to Wisconsin. So yeah, going back to Brandon Johnson, what did he really do for the people of Chicago? He was elected mayor. He was supposed to serve the people of Chicago. He was supposed to do things that are in the best interest of the people of Chicago. Did he do that? No. He failed, clearly. He's really one of the worst mayors in America. I don't think there's any doubt about that. By the way, anyone from Chicago watching this live stream? Anyone from Chicago watching this live stream? Anyone who would like to share your reactions? My friends, there are many reasons why so many Americans are leaving not just Chicago, but blue Democrat-run cities. And then you look at other places like Minnesota and Oregon, where agitators are running around and they are trying to create roadblocks for ICE. And I'm not sure if you saw what President Trump posted on Truth Social. He had a long post on Truth Social, and he wrote that he instructed the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, that under no circumstances will the federal government, the Trump administration, participate in various poorly run Democrat cities with regard to their protests and or riots unless and until they ask the federal government for help. But then President Trump also wrote that we will, however, guard and very powerfully so any and all federal buildings that are being attacked by these highly paid lunatics, agitators, and insurrectionists. Okay, so President Trump wrote that everyone should be aware that he has instructed ICE and or Border Patrol to be very forceful in this protection of federal government property. So that's a strong message. I'm not going to read the entire post. You can go and read it. It's there on Truth Social, but it's a very, very strong message. Okay, so um, yeah, and also President Trump wrote that by copy of this statement, he's informing local governments uh, that the local governments must protect their own state and local property. And then also, President Trump reminded the local governments that it is their obligation to also protect federal property, buildings, parks, and everything else. And President Trump also wrote that we are there to protect federal property only as a backup, in that it is local and state responsibility to do so. So, yeah, I mean, it's a long statement that I think you should read, but this is what leadership looks like. What you see President Trump doing, this is real leadership, okay? Enforcing our nation's immigration laws, protecting property, keeping people safe. This is leadership. So, my friends, you got to ask the question, who are these people who are so desperate, to resist the enforcement of our nation's immigration laws? Who are these agitators who are going out there creating chaos and building obstacles for the ICE agents, for Border Patrol agents? Who are these agitators who are trying to prevent the enforcement of our nation's immigration laws? And really, what motivates them to do so? I mean, who could be against law and order? You ask any rational human being, you ask the question, hey, do you want law and order? Do you want a safe community? Do you want to feel protected in your neighborhood? The answer is going to be yes. Yes, we want a safe community. Yes, we want law and order. Yes, we want to feel protected. So who are these people who are trying to create chaos? Who are these people? My friends, you might have seen recently that some businesses publicly announced and they decided to close their doors for a day as a sign of protest. This happened on January the 30th, and it's extremely disappointing. Very, very disappointing to see private businesses, not all, just a group of businesses, maybe the owners are um, politically on the left. That's what it seems like. The owners or the management. Certain businesses, very disappointing to see certain businesses deciding that they're going to keep their doors open as a sign of protest. And I'm just thinking, why would anyone do that? Haven't you seen those social media posts and announcements that some business owners decided to close their businesses for the day on January the 30th? Now, that's in the past, but isn't that strange? Oh, Brad is here. Hello, Brad. Good to see you. I mean, what's that about? I mean, they're business owners. They're free to do what they want, I guess, with their private business, but why would anyone do that? Why would you suspend operations for a day? Why would you keep your doors closed for a day? Why would you decide to not serve your customers for a day? I mean, isn't that a financial loss? Isn't that a loss? Why would businesses participate in this so-called national shutdown. So some call it ice out protest. Ice out protest? What do they mean by ice out protest? I mean, they're basically saying, oh, ice should be out, you know? That's what they are trying to suggest, I think. Like, no more ice, ice should be out. Instead, I say ice should be out there doing their work. Ice out could mean two different things. For the people on the left, it's going to be like, oh, no more ice. Out, out, out. Leave, go, ice. That's what they're saying when they say ice out. But you know what? Freedom-loving Americans, they also say ice out, but with a different meaning. They say ice, go out and catch criminals. ICE, you should be out and about looking for criminal aliens. ICE, go out there and do your job. We support you, ICE. Go out there, do your job. Someone's saying, you're not American. I am American. I am an American citizen, okay? So, by the way, please subscribe. If you have not done so yet, I would strongly encourage you to subscribe. All right? Go ahead, do it. So, my friends, it doesn't make any sense to me when these business owners they protest and they are against ICE. I mean, if ICE is catching criminals, which ICE is doing every day, wouldn't you support them? If you believe in law and order, wouldn't you support ICE and other federal agents who are protecting the people of this country? I mean, listen, businesses that are operating to make money, they should continue to do so. Make money, serve the customers, keep your doors open, earn revenue, make a profit, expand, grow your operation and hire more people, create more opportunities. That is what success looks like. No reason to keep the doors closed to protest ICE. I mean, okay, if you're keeping your door closed, you're basically hurting your business. You're not helping. You're hurting your business. So if you decide to protest and keep your doors closed, oh, January 30th, doors closed. You know what? You're going to lose business. Other businesses will take your customers away. And that's a fact. All right. My friends, share with me your thoughts. I appreciate that. Always. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Right? That's all I have to say for now. Lawrence is saying Trump is the greatest president ever. Lawrence, thank you so much for writing that. Yeah, Trump is the greatest. You know my three favorite presidents? Obviously Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump, undoubtedly. And do you know who the third one is? And I'm not giving you the names in any particular order. I'm not saying, oh, this is my most favorite and then second and then third. I'm just saying, okay, I like these three presidents the most. One is Lincoln, and then Trump, and then who is the third one? Who is the third one? I mentioned that, I think, previously. Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? Lawrence is writing Kennedy. Well, Kennedy is great. Devil's, what's the name? Screen name? Is it Devil? Anyway, is saying Reagan. Yeah, Reagan's great. But, it's a different name that I have in mind. So I told you, Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump, who's the third? Go ahead. Salerno is saying Washington. Washington is, as many would say, the greatest, right? Washington. But I have somebody else in mind. Go ahead. Keep writing the names, and we'll get there at some point. Somebody who I read about, somebody who I truly respect, after reading about that president, a former president, uh, and deceased, okay, no longer alive. A president who died a long time ago. Glasses writing Theodore Roosevelt. Great president, but that's not the name I'm thinking. Did somebody write Bush? Just think again a little bit. It's not that hard. Lawrence is saying FDR. No, not FDR. Let's see if anyone wrote that name. Eisenhower. Anyone mentioned that? Eisenhower. That's right, Eisenhower. Did anyone guess that? Did anyone guess that name? Eisenhower, yeah. So I like Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump, and Eisenhower. Okay, if you ask me my three favorite presidents, I'll give you those three names. Okay. Eisenhower. All right. Okay, so my friends, that's all I have for today. Thank you so very much for tuning in for this live stream. I appreciate you all. And I will be, hold on a second. I will be doing more live streams and publishing more videos, so please stay connected with me. All right. Salerno, thank you. Salerno says you're a great American. Thank you, Salerno. I appreciate that very, very much. So, thank you all. And may God bless you all. May God bless President Donald J. Trump. May God bless the Trump administration. May God bless the Republicans in Washington. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless our U.S. allies. And may God bless freedom-loving people all over the world. And also, I must add, may God bless the ICE agents, the Border Patrol agents, and the other federal agents who are doing great work. They are working 24/7 to keep us safe and to catch criminal aliens. So God bless them. God bless the law enforcement community. So thank you, my friends. I'm going to be back again very soon. So stay connected, subscribe if you have not done so yet, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.